The Untold Secrets of John Dingell, 10 Scandalous and Shocking Facts. John Dingell was a towering figure in American politics, serving in the U.S. House of Representatives for a record-breaking 59 years. Revered as a champion of the people, Dingell also carried his share of controversies and secrets that stirred Washington and beyond. From personal life revelations to political scandals, here are 10 of the most scandalous and shocking facts about John Dingell. Fact number 1. The early years, a family shaped by politics and tragedy. John David Dingell Jr. was born on July 8, 1926, in Colorado Springs, Colorado, but he was raised in Detroit, Michigan, where his father, John Dingell Sr., served as a U.S. Congressman from 1933 to 1955. The Dingell family was deeply rooted in public service, but they also faced personal tragedy when John Jr.'s younger brother, John David Dingell III, died shortly after birth, an event that profoundly affected the family. At the age of 18, John Dingell Jr. enlisted in the U.S. Army during World War II. He served as a second lieutenant in the Army and was stationed in the Philippines, where he participated in preparing for the planned invasion of Japan, which was ultimately unnecessary due to Japan's surrender in 1945. His time in the military was formative, giving him a first-hand understanding of the costs of war and reinforcing his commitment to public service. Dingell married Helen Hennebree in 1952, and they had 4 children together: John Dingell III, Christopher, Jennifer, and Jean. The marriage ended in divorce, and in 1981, Dingell married Deborah Inslee, who was 27 years his junior. Their marriage drew attention due to the age gap and Deborah's swift rise in Washington's social and political circles. Nevertheless, they remained a close couple until his death. Despite the public scrutiny, Dingell balanced his family life with a distinguished career in Congress, reflecting both his dedication to service and the complexities of his personal relationships. Number 2. The Vietnam Vote, a controversial stand. John Dingell's vote against the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution in August 1964 was one of the most defining and contentious moments of his political career. The resolution, passed by Congress, granted President Lyndon B. Johnson the authority to use military force in Vietnam without a formal declaration of war. Dingell, despite intense pressure from his Democratic colleagues and constituents, opposed it, arguing that it would lead to an undefined and unchecked war. His vote positioned him as one of only 2 Michigan congressmen to stand against the resolution, a decision he later described as a matter of conscience. The fallout was immediate. Dingell faced backlash from both party insiders and defense contractors who were significant donors. However, he remained steadfast, later reflecting, "I could not in good conscience support a war without clear objectives." His principled stand alienated him in the short term but ultimately became a hallmark of his reputation for independent thought and integrity. Number 3. The Big Tobacco Debate, Dingell's Dance with the Industry. In the 1980s, Dingell's role as chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee put him at the center of debates over the tobacco industry. As the chairman, Dingell wielded significant influence over legislation affecting public health and industry regulations. Critics accused him of being too aligned with tobacco companies, pointing to the significant campaign contributions he received from major players like Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds. In 1987, for example, Dingell received nearly $50,000 from tobacco interests, raising eyebrows and allegations of undue influence. However, Dingell defended his record by citing his consistent support for public health measures, including the fight against underage smoking and advocating for transparency in tobacco advertising. Yet, the whispers of favoritism and corporate lobbying lingered, casting a shadow over his otherwise populist credentials. Number 4. The Automakers Advocate, Conflicts of Interest or Constituency Champion? Representing Michigan, the heartland of the American auto industry, Dingell was a vocal advocate for the car manufacturers who dominated his constituency. However, this advocacy often led to allegations of conflicts of interest. As chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Dingell was accused of obstructing efforts to impose stricter environmental regulations that could have negatively impacted automakers. In 1987, during a contentious hearing on fuel efficiency standards, Dingell clashed with environmentalists and other lawmakers, dismissing their proposals as misguided and damaging to American jobs. His stance earned him both praise as a champion of Detroit and criticism as an impediment to environmental progress, highlighting the fine line he walked between representing his constituents and facing accusations of industry bias. Number 5. The ethics investigations, murky waters. Throughout his career, Dingell was subject to several ethics investigations, most notably in the 1990s when allegations emerged about his use of congressional staff for campaign activities. Though he was never formally charged, the inquiries cast a shadow over his reputation. "I have always acted in the best interest of my constituents," Dingell proclaimed, but critics claimed he operated in the gray areas of legality, using his considerable influence to keep these investigations from gaining traction. Number 6. The Cold War hawk, Dingell's shift on defense. Despite his early stance against the Vietnam War, Dingell underwent a significant shift in his approach to defense during the Cold War. By the 1980s, he was one of the most vocal proponents of increased military spending, arguing for a robust defense budget to counter Soviet aggression. This transformation surprised many of his colleagues, with some suggesting that his stance was motivated more by the political winds than by principle. As a result, his reputation as a consistent advocate for peace took a hit. Number 7. The healthcare battle, a double-edged sword. Dingell was a passionate advocate for universal healthcare, a cause he inherited from his father, who first introduced a national health insurance bill in 1943. Throughout his career, Dingell fought tirelessly for comprehensive health reform, including during the Clinton administration's efforts in the 1990s. His aggressive stance, however, often alienated potential allies. In a particularly heated debate in 1994, Dingell clashed with more moderate Democrats, accusing them of selling out to insurance companies for attempting to scale back the proposed reforms. This outburst, though reflecting his commitment to universal healthcare, was seen by some as evidence of his unwillingness to compromise, damaging his efforts to build a coalition for reform. Number 8. Controversial remarks and political gaffes. Known for his candid and blunt communication style, Dingell occasionally sparked controversies. In 2002, it was rumored that he referred to some congressional colleagues as little jerks during a radio interview, a comment that would have been criticized as unprofessional if confirmed. However, there are no official records of this remark, and Dingell did not publicly acknowledge it. In another instance, he reportedly compared explaining the complexities of healthcare reform to trying to explain quantum physics, which some interpreted as dismissive of public concerns. These incidents, whether substantiated or not, provided opponents with material to portray him as out of touch or condescending. Dingell often shrugged off such criticisms, emphasizing his commitment to frank discourse. "I believe in calling things as I see them," he asserted, highlighting his belief that honest dialogue was essential for effective governance. Number 9. The spy allegations, a decade-old rumor resurfaces. In the 1980s, Dingell faced rumors of involvement in a Cold War-era espionage scandal. According to these rumors, he was accused of leaking sensitive information to a foreign power, possibly implicating him in activities that could have compromised national security. While these claims were never substantiated, they resurfaced in the early 2000s, fueled by a media frenzy that capitalized on a climate of heightened paranoia and suspicion in post-9/11 America. Dingell dismissed these allegations as preposterous nonsense, but the mere suggestion of such activities added an enigmatic layer to his already complex public persona, making him a subject of both intrigue and skepticism. Number 10. The final years, a legacy re-examined. In his final years, John Dingell faced significant health challenges that put his long career and legacy back in the public spotlight. Diagnosed with prostate cancer that had spread to his bones, he dealt with intense pain and deteriorating health quietly, while remaining a sharp and vocal presence on social media. Alongside cancer, Dingell struggled with heart problems, including atrial fibrillation, which further complicated his condition. Dingell spent his last days in hospice care at his home in Dearborn, Michigan, where he passed away on February 7, 2019, at age 92. His death prompted a nationwide discussion on his impact, with many seeing him as a champion for the working class and a defender of civil rights, while others highlighted the controversies that marred parts of his career. His wife, Debbie Dingell, who succeeded him in Congress, continued to uphold his complex legacy, marked by both notable achievements and scandals. His nearly 6 decades of service in Congress remain a topic of debate, reflecting a life spent deeply intertwined with American politics.